What I have written? CSAT, reading comprehension. Now when you see the first part which I have written, CSAT, reading, then at the end of comprehension, you observed something. Did you observe something what I was doing over there? I wrote CSAT, reading comprehension. Yes or no? If you have seen me very closely, what I was writing on the board, I was struggling at the end when I was writing comprehension. What was that? I was struggling to fit in there, comprehension. The reason for that is I was lacking in my planning. Yes or no? Yes or no? In the same way, if you are not planning for reading comprehension, when I said a plan, it depends upon your timeline. Okay? So if you are taking too much of time for planning reading comprehension, if you are taking too less time also, the situation is very dangerous. Okay. Now if you see, as I said, reading comprehension examination, if you observe our CSAT paper 2, some of the things I will be uttering now, we have already I think spoken about it, but since there are some new members here and also I think some of them have joined in the live Zoom session also. I think on that particular day whatever we spoke was off camera or off the record, yes or no? Because there was a power outage, so there was no online thing that was possible. So I'll be repeating some statements that I've told on that day. It will be kind of a revision for you. So don't think that I'm listening to it again, but that will be very useful for you while we speak about reading comprehension. Now CSAT paper 2 consists of how many questions? 80 questions, which carries 2.5, and how much is the maximum marks in CSAT? 200 marks. And the negative, the most important point that you have to understand here is, I've seen many people due to the tension on that particular day or their mind not working, because after writing CSAT paper 1, well not CSAT, I mean general studies paper 1, what will happen? Brain में जो fuse है वो उड़ जाता है, होगी नहीं? Yes or no? So you'll start feeling very depressed after writing paper 1 because the paper is always on the unexpected lines. Now tell me one thing, what is the full form of UPSC? What is the full form of UPSC? Huh? Only wrong answers allowed. Very good. Unpredictable Service Commission. Unpredictable Public Service Commission. That is the name of UPSC. Many times I think your Ram sir would have told you, Ramana sir or Ram sir, our director, our CSAT sir director, you would have met him. So he says UPSC is a Unpredictable Service Commission, because by the time you think that you have decoded the UPSC pattern, he will bring some change. That thing has happened in comprehension also, which I'm going to discuss it in the very next stage. So if you see this 200 marks, one thing you have to understand is in GS paper, the 100 questions. GS1 paper is for 100 questions, each is to 200 marks. Here the negative is what? 1/3 of the maximum marks for each paper. Here, since each question is for 2 marks, the negative mark would be what? 0.66, or you can say approximately 0.67. In this case, 2.5 by 3, how much it is? 0.833. We'll approximate it to 0.83. You will be losing more marks here, yes or no? So you must be very careful with that. Now when you go to the history of CSAT paper, in 2013-14, when the Congress regime was there, at that point of time, there was an apprehension about CSAT paper, because during that point of time, CSAT paper 2 was also counted for the merit, not just paper 1. So rural students, especially from rural background in India, they have demanded that this paper should be scrapped, because the engineering students and those who are studying in the urban areas, they are getting more benefit out of it. So accordingly, what UPSC did is, they took a balanced solution. I am uttering some words here, see, balanced solution. This will be very useful for you when you are going to reading comprehension. See, when you are answering a general studies question or even a reading comprehension question, and when you are writing mains paper, because mains paper is just the reflection of your mind. Yes or no? When you are writing the mains examination, I do not know how many of you have taken UPSC mains for at least once in your life, but when you are writing mains examination, this is not your high school examination where examiner will have, what I call, examiner will have, अरे यार इसको पास करने दो. क्या होता है, कुछ मूवी की स्टोरी लिख दिया. I have written some movie story. I have written Bahubali story in engineering examination. So he will give me some grace mark. No. In UPSC, there will be no such humanitarian grounds, or no one will feel, isko thoda marks de denge. That is not the kind of attitude. Here, whatever you are writing on the paper in the mains examination will reflect your mindset as an officer. Because you all are future officers. You all are going to lead the country in some way or other. So it is important that the reflection, the mind reflection, what is there, that is depicted in your paper. So you need to be extremely careful on what you are writing. And that too, it is not a BTech examination or a graduation examination where you can write 500 words, 600 words, 1,000 words. Your word limit is limited. Either it is for 150 words or 250 words. So the most important thing is, while you are studying general studies paper also, you have to contend your answer. Okay? Suppose they are asking about the problem of unemployment and inflation. You should be restricting your answer, because for unemployment and inflation, if you are given 6 hours, you can write a book on it. Yes or no? You can keep writing about it. But what is a major burning issue today? Recently, if you see, that's why current affairs is going to play an important role. ILO said that with the rise of literacy rate in our country, the more the people get educated, there will be more unemployment. Have you heard this statement? Recently, just now, even if you read your inserts also, they are saying that the more the literate the more the literate people would be, the unemployment is going to rise. Where? Among the literate people only, those who are educated. So, indirectly ILO is saying that sometimes, education may also become a boon or a bane depending upon the situation. So, you have to take a balanced approach always. That means there is no hard and fast rule, or there is no code in UPSC exam as such. When I said code, there is no rigid code. I am using the word, what is the word I am using again here? Rigid. No rigid. And I will use one more word, the opposite of this. What is this? Flexible. Now, if you take our Indian constitution also, is it rigid or flexible? Is it rigid or flexible? It's both, in fact. When you say flexible, you are making a big mistake in your CSAT paper again, comprehension. Now I will say, very simple. I'll tell you one thing. Suppose in our reading comprehension question itself, I am giving one question. Which of the following are the features of Indian Constitution? You are not even reading the passage. The first statement I will give is, Indian Constitution is completely flexible. Are you going to take the statement? No. Yes or no? Indian Constitution is rigid in many ways. Are you going to take the statement? We'll keep on hold. Indian Constitution is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. This is a balanced statement. So while you are answering any question, it is very important that you have to take balanced points, the balanced kind of mindset, or a solution oriented mindset. Suppose on the road, if someone is riding a motorbike, he is going at a speed limit which is exceeding the speed limit given in that area. Let's say 60 kilometers per hour is the speed limit, and that guy is going at 100 kilometers per hour. What is the initial reaction when he's crossing beside you? We should hang him. Yes or no? We should escort him to the police station and police should beat him to the death. What is this nonsense? But as an officer, can you do such thing? Yes or no? The most important thing here is that not only as an officer, we are also a responsible citizen also. Think like a responsible citizen as well as an officer. ये आम जनता का बात जो है, that is not going to work out here in UPSC or reading comprehension also. Reading comprehension, let me tell you, is not a paper just given for that sake. They are not testing your English comprehension skills here. They are not testing your language or vocabulary here. They are testing the way your mind works. What you are going to choose. Tomorrow when you become an officer, there will be two options given to you. One option would be very tempting. Like it's a trap. You should make sure that you are not going to that option. Today we are going to discuss many such questions in your previous year questions only. Never fall into the trap. There is no question of a rigid code in UPSC. Whether you are attempting a general studies paper 1 or general studies CSAT paper 2. There is no rigidity concept over there. You got to be flexible and sometimes rigid also. It's going to be the blend of both. So if you see this question paper, as we discussed it earlier on also, now if you have seen the last 3 papers from 2021 to 23, okay, suppose if I take this 21 to 23 paper, I have seen that at least 25 to 27 questions are coming from RC, okay, and 30 to 35 questions are coming from arithmetic part, and remaining is what? 20 to 25 questions. I have just kept this a bar because this is reasoning, or you can say logical ability, LA, logical ability. Now, there are 2 sets of people while they are writing CSAT examination. I'm going to take profession names also. There's nothing to, feel bad about it or something. This is what I've observed generally. Let's say I'm an engineer. My initial reaction is that when I'm an engineer, I am a godfather in mathematics. I am a godfather in arithmetic. I am a godfather in logical reasoning or mental ability part, whatever it is. So I'll say, I'm going to ignore reading comprehension. Because the reason here is that all you have to get is how much? 67 marks. How much you have to get? 67 marks out of 200. That's it. Yes or no? If you get that paper, it's enough. Because if you get 200 out of 200, no one is going to give you a Bharat Ratna as our Honorable President gave today to some people. Okay? That is current affairs, of course. We'll discuss it later. No one is going to admonish you because you've got 67. It's not high school paper. That's what I'm saying. Suppose if it is a 10th class board examination, suppose if your neighbor gets 90% and you are getting just 60%, your parents will definitely admonish you. Yes or no? Here there is no question of admonishment or scoldings from parents, because whether you are getting 67 or whether you are getting 67 is what percentage? 33.3%. And if you get 200%, you are not going to get admonished here. That's the first point you must remember. Okay? So, number 2 is that just because sir has said 67 is enough, your target should not be 67. I told you on that one particular day, I'm just going to repeat it again briefly. All of you watch cricket, right? I said there was a match which took place in 2007 when Dhoni was captaining. It was his initial days as captain. It was his first tournament, ICC tournament. I told you the host nation was South Africa. South Africa were the red hot favorites and India were like underdogs, and even Pakistan were underdogs in the tournament. Ultimately, India and Pakistan played that final. It was a nerve-wracking final. It was a heart attack kind of a final, and finally India won it. Yes or no? But when you saw that tournament, when you see the tournament, or when you saw the tournament rather, there was one particular match between India and South Africa, where India were on the brink of elimination. If India lose against South Africa, they are out of the tournament. So if India win, there are some conditions, if and but. They have to win by some particular runs. So India scored 153 in that match, and the pitch was difficult for batting also. South Africa, if they score 154, they will win the match, they will qualify for semi-finals. Even if South Africa lose the match, they have to minimum score 126 runs. That was the condition. Just like your CSAT 67 marks. It is analogous to your 67. What South Africa did? South Africa, just like our Royal Challengers Bangalore, is a big choker. They couldn't score that 126 runs also. Ultimately, what happened? India qualified for semi-final. They were the top team, and also South Africa were eliminated. They were unbeaten till that match. Unbeaten means no side could defeat them till that point. India not only defeated them, they also ousted South Africa from the tournament. Your CSAT paper is that paper only, which can oust you from the competition, which is an unexpected paper. It's a banana peel kind of paper. You cannot predict banana peel, yes or no? You're walking on the road, you just come across a banana peel under your foot. You can't control the friction, right? You will fall down. So this is that kind of paper. So you have to acknowledge the banana peel before itself. So 67, when I said 67, don't aim for 67. Your aim should always be in and around 85 to 100. We'll just skip the limit, 80 to 100. So when you need 80 to 100, ideally, you have to answer 40 questions, yes or no? Ideally. So 40 into 2.5 will give you what? 100. When I said 40 questions, it should be correctly. Because anyone is not a perfect human here, okay? That's a very difficult task to do that. You take 40 questions exactly, all 40 questions are right, you score 100 and you walk away. No. There would be some margin of error, okay? So, suppose if you are attempting 50 questions, okay, out of which 40 questions are answered correctly and 10 questions are incorrect. Now, 0.833 into 10 comes around somewhere around 8.5 marks. So you're going to score ultimately what? 91.5, which is well above the par score, 67. Okay. So at least your minimum aim should be for 25 questions. Now when I said RC, I said RC is around 25 questions. Yes or no? Even if you score marks in 15 to 18 questions, your job is done here. Okay? If you see the past few papers, the last 3 question papers, CSAT papers, the arithmetic was very, I can't say it's tough, but it was very tricky. You can't answer straight away those questions. Okay? So if you at least 15 to 18 questions, let's say you scored 15 questions in comprehension correctly. What is 15 into 2.5? It is coming around 37.5 marks. Okay? This is the basic level I'm talking about. After we complete our class, I expect you to score at least, not 15 to 18, I would expect you to score around 18 to 20 questions. If you score 18 questions at least, 18 into 2.5 comes down to what? 45 marks. 45 marks. And remaining 30 marks or 40 marks, whatever it is, you have to score from the other part. Because you still have 60 questions over there. 55 to be precise, 55 questions. 55 questions, can't you answer at least 20 questions? Out of those 55 questions, you can. You have to choose very wisely. Don't end up getting so much of negative marks. Our Ram sir was saying, our director of institute, there was one IPS officer, I don't want to name him. Even I don't remember his name also. He is currently serving as an IPS officer. He wants to become an IAS officer. But since last couple of years, he is failing in the CSAT examination, which is not even allowing him to take the mains paper. So CSAT has become that banana skin of paper. Okay. Now, the next question here is, I'm not going to waste your time much. I think I've got a fair idea. I said at least 15 to 18 questions. I'm talking about a median average here. There is no limit for this. Okay. You can even score 20 to 22 questions also. Always I'll keep that margin. 2 or 3 questions would be very tricky because you are not going with a relaxed mind. And that too, when you're writing this examination in the afternoon, that too in the hot summer season, at least today I think is June, I think this is June 16th. Generally it is around May last week or June first week. The summer still persists. Okay. I remember I wrote my 2021 CSAT paper. I mean, I was writing that time. Then there was huge wind, uproar of wind. It was raining heavily. Okay. Somewhere that time. So there will be some challenges while we write the examination also. Okay, because there was a lot of heat on that day. It was very humid. So in the morning it is okay. You'll be fresh you'll be going with your fresh mind. You'll be going, with what do you call? You would have watched some motivational videos. You would have said all these things. You would say, yes, I'm going to crack this. But after you come from the general studies paper, all your spirits would be punctured. Yes or no? You would be thinking that I am a Chengiz Khan, I am so and so, I am the hero of my locality. You are dreaming of getting a first rank in the UPSC, and suddenly all your spirits are punctured. Why? Because the general studies paper is given in such a way that it is a very challenging paper. That's what is happening. Yes or no? As I said again, there also you need not be a hero. You need not score 200 out of 200 over there. How much you have to score? Hardly 100. Yes or no? If you see the cutoffs recently, the cutoffs for general studies paper 1 is going down every time. It is going down. I think it was in 2020 it was around 98. In 21 it got down to 92. In 22 paper it got down to 88. And this year again 23, I think I don't think the final marks are out yet, but it is again, they're saying it is gone to 85 or 86 if I'm not wrong. Okay. So the major reason is that it is not because general studies paper is very hard. The reason being is that a person may score 130 in general studies paper, but if he scores 63 in CSAT paper, he is eliminated. Yes or no? Obviously, the people who are performing well in your general studies paper 1 are also getting eliminated, as I told the case of one IPS officer. So, this is why you got to be careful with this paper, and your aim should be to play a safe game. When I mean the safe game, as I said, try to get 40 questions correctly. When I said 40 questions correctly, don't answer 40 questions incorrect again. Attempt all 80 questions, say I'll get score in 40, I'll get another negative set of marks in 40 questions. No, that should not be your thing. Again, you will be in a lot of danger. So make sure that ideally 55 questions you should be attempting. In my view, out of 55 questions, make sure that you get at least 40 bang on target. And even remaining 15 questions, if it goes wrong, 15 into 0.883 comes around 12.5 to 13 marks. So 100 minus 13 is what? 87. And you're happily through the CSAT paper. Okay. So now, let's take the next part now. Okay. Why reading comprehension? This was the point we were discussing. We're just going to brief it up again. As I said, the first point about RC is, this is a building block. Reading comprehension is a building block for UPSC mains. Why it is a building block? The first question, right? It is a building block because this reading comprehension helps in summarizing. It is rather like a Pressy writing in your English. Have you ever encountered Pressy writing in English? someone, if they have written their banking examinations or even your 10th standard examinations, they would have heard a word called Presi writing. Okay? Presi writing is nothing but you have to summarize. They will give a big passage. You have to summarize what author or the poet wants to convey in that thing. That is the first thing. Second, RC also talks about balanced approach. Rather, I should say balanced solutions. This is useful for your interview also, yes or no? When I said interview, suppose they ask a question regarding environment only. Some of the industries in your area, or rather I'll take a more interesting topic, election commission. You are appointed as a presiding officer, where in some district the elections are taking place, and they would ask you a question. Recently this question was, I think, seen in one of the group's examination also. You have to take a balance. Suppose there are some miscreants near your voting center where the people are trying to steal the EVMs, okay, and they're trying to break the law and order, and they're trying to rig the elections. So what is your reaction? As an interviewer, what should be your approach? All the miscreants should be gunned down immediately. They should be killed in a brutal encounter. Is that your answer? No, definitely not. What should be your answer? You will say that you will immediately contact the Deputy Commissioner of Police or the higher authority, whoever it is, and say that this is the situation. Please take care of the situation. See that the miscreants do not enter and try to trouble the electoral process, and also you should see that you are safeguarding the EVMs to whatever extent possible. Have you seen one movie called Raid, which was acted by Ajay Devgan? In that particular movie, you see that all the minister who was there in that, he tries to completely cordon off that area and he tries to set Ajay Devgan on fire. And he was protecting all the documents, gold and whatever currency notes he has. Yes or no? So in that way, you should try to safeguard. I'm not saying like that movie it will happen. With the kind of technology that we have today, with the CCTV cameras installed, and their electoral process is going transparent day by day. If you see the recent electoral reforms. So the point is that you have to take a balanced approach. You can't say that those people should be gunned down. And they can say one more thing also. I will run away from there and I'll save my life. Is that a correct answer? That is also a negative thing. Yes or no? Or you cannot say that give me a pistol, I will fire him. Okay? Or I will watch one good action movie. Just like action movie, I am going to hit 100 villains. Okay? And I am going to kill them. Are these the answers? No. Because these are not practical. Okay? Always you should be thinking in the balanced approach. And this is where RC is important for your interview and mains writing also. Even in mains writing also, you should avoid extreme statements or illogical statements. Okay? And also one more thing is that never criticize governments. Remember that. Because when you become an officer, you are bound by some code of conduct. So you cannot blame the government, or there is a standard protocol in which you have to give the criticism also. You just can't speak like a random person on the road. There will be some fruit selling vendor, a vendor who is selling fruits. He can say anything. Arey, government waste anna, ye government kharab hai. He can say that. Can you say that? As an officer? Can you? You are bound by some code of conduct. Because you are getting paid by government only ultimately, and you are doing service to the nation. When they are talking about government, we all, including the government, is just serving to the Indian Constitution, and we are serving the people most importantly. So as a responsible officer, we cannot utter whatever we want. So while you're talking, while you're writing also, you can also write some answers in some newspapers. You can publish your article also. there also your writing must be very balanced. So, and also one more thing, as an aspirant, you should be always having a positive mindset. You should be giving solution. You should be more of a solution oriented person. If not solution oriented, at least give a balanced answer and give a optimistic view. You have understood what I am saying? When I say optimistic view, with a positive notion. Today, our country may be suffering from some social issues. But as an officer, as a responsible citizen, you cannot say, ये देश कभी नहीं सुधरेगा. This country will not improve. ये country बागुपडadu. Different languages. That should not be a thing. You can suggest a solution that how you can mitigate those social issues and how you can elevate the poverty or unemployment. Or else you can say, today, in the midst of some pandemic and also some economic turmoil all over the world, you could say that, at least, that with a positive mindset, if not today, in the coming years, with India putting the right steps ahead, we are surely getting into that position where we will be one of the top contenders in the powerhouses in the world. Yes or no? That should be your approach. Now, even your examiner, the UPSC, as I said, Unpredictable Service Commission, they will be looking for a positive aspirant. He may be unpredictable, the UPSC fellow, but you should be predictable with your mindset. When I said predictable, you got to be a blend of rigidity and flexibility. You can't sit and say, this is the only solution I have. This is the only thing I'm going to work out. And one more thing, while answering reading comprehension questions, okay, keep general studies in your mind also. Are you getting my point? While you're answering a question, because if you see reading comprehension passages, what are the types of passages are you getting in reading comprehension? One is related to environment and biodiversity. Yes or no? Economics. Economics and social issues. And the third is about science and technology. Political science. And you can say polity also for some matter. And then, what else? Current affairs. Current affairs, again, it comes under this topic only. Yeah, rather than, I can say one more thing, social issues. Yeah, okay, already I mentioned that point. Okay. What else? Can you classify in some other way? Yes. Polity, economy, science and technology, environment, and then, yes, anything else? Maybe some passage this year, if I'm not wrong. It's okay even if I'm proven wrong. History and art and culture. They may give some passage. But if you see, most of the passages in the last 3 years, it is related to environment and biodiversity, economics and social issues, and political science. These are the issues they're giving it. So this is not something old, yes or no? This is not something new to you, rather. You've already studied these topics in general studies paper. So while you're answering these questions, no one is asking you vocabulary here, sir. Okay. All they're asking is, what is the balanced solution? What is the author trying to imply? What is the assumption? What is the main idea of the passage? What is the central idea? What is the crux of the passage? Yes or no? These are the questions they're asking. So, as we have discussed few points till now, I said, why are reading comprehension? When I said why reading comprehension, I said it is a builder towards your mains examination as well as interview. And second thing is that he is testing the mindset of the aspirant. Is he having the right kind of mindset? And the third thing is this person balanced in giving solutions? Or when he's put into tough situations, is he the balanced person? That's the most important question. As an officer, you should be always with a positive mindset and balanced kind of thinking whenever you're giving solutions. As a person, you need to be balanced, yes or no? So that's what they're asking. So, now if you see the kind of passages that they're giving, it is environment and biodiversity, economics and social issues, science and technology. When I talk about science and technology, it is related to your, especially where are they picking passages from? Your pharmacy. Ever since the inception of COVID, they're picking questions from antibiotics and they're dumping issues. What is biodegradability? Segregating the waste. All this comes under environment and biodiversity and science and technology. Yes or no? And they're picking some political science and polity. As I said, for example, I will take one question. They're talking about political. When I say political science, they talk about democracy, aristocracy, oligarchy. I think some people would be taking political science and international relations. Yeah, one more topic. That's what I was wondering. When I said political science and polity, I'll say, yeah, international relations also. They're going to pick up from that also. What is the foreign policy of India? Recently, Indian Prime Minister and US President would have met, or our External Affairs Minister and their counterpart would have met. What is the outcome of that meeting? Again, even in external affairs dealing also, we need to follow a balanced approach. Okay? When I said balanced approach, today, exactly if you see in the IR scenario itself, international relations scenario, India is maintaining what you call a peaceful relation, or rather I should say a friendly relation, not peaceful. India is maintaining a friendly relation with United States as well as Russia. Yes or no? Are we against towards any country? No. Yes or no? We are having a amicable relation with United States of America as well as Russia. This is a balanced approach. This is exactly what I said meant by balanced approach. So you cannot afford to have an enmity with any person right now. Yes or no? So that is what you have to look for in this current scenario. Right. So now we are going to see a few things in RC now as to what we see in reading comprehension. When you are answering the questions in reading comprehension, I am going to come with examples now. Avoid extreme statements. This is the first golden rule in RC. You got to avoid what? Extreme statements. When I said extreme statements, for example, all, only, impossible, okay, impossible, everyone, essential, guarantees, no man, and no one, whatever it is, you can say, no one. No is also an extreme kind of word. Listen to me once. I'll give you time to copy. One most important thing, remember. Even when I was seeing some of the videos of CSAT 3 months ago, I saw some videos. Of course, their videos may be right to some extent. I've seen one particular video, they said, without reading the passage, just applying these techniques, we will pass the examination. But UPSC is very smart, as I told you. What we have named them, we have given an acronym for them, right? Unpredictable Service Commission. Till 2020, the questions were given in such a way that 90% of the questions without looking at the passage also you could eliminate. But it's not the case. Now I'll give an example. Extreme statements anna. I'll give you a small example. Just a minute. Now let's take the second question now. Don't read the passage. I'll give you an example. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Is the font visible to everyone, including the people who are online also? I'm asking them also. Is it visible to everyone? Shall I make it bigger? Is it okay? Right. Okay. Which of the following is the most logical and rational inference that can be made from the passage given above? Seditions, wars, and breach of the laws are inevitable. This is also this is one word you can add in the list. Please add it. Inevitable in every dominion. Is it not an extreme statement? He's saying that this said, all of you know what is sedition, right? That means you're talking about against your country, or you're trying to be, one second. Yeah, wars. Abstinence enter then. It's called abstinence. Abstinence means what? Gudachari cheyadam. Ante vallu enti desam vidrohal. It's called what? They're called as what? Deshdrohis. To be precise, in the common language. Sedition is like you're being a deshdrohi. And breach of laws are inevitable in every dominion. Can you say with perfection that is done everywhere? No, right? This is an extreme statement. You can avoid it. It is not the people, but the sovereign who is responsible for all the problems. Again, extreme word. All. I have given only few examples. See, I only took few examples while I was talking about extreme words because you'll see in the passage itself. All. He says, it is not a people. Sovereign means whom? The government. Who is responsible for all the problems. Can you pinpoint the blame on the government? If you ask me, I've seen one tweet of KTR a few years back when, forget about KTR. KTR was pointing out towards, I'm not for any party, I'm not a political person here. One person was tweeting that these wooden logs have been kept in our area for too long. And it's all chinna wooden logs. This was on the road. And he complained to KTR, tagging him that on X platform, saying that no municipal person is speaking that up. Then KTR said, what are you doing? Can't you just remove that wooden log and put it aside? Is it not responsible? Is it not a responsibility of a citizen? It's a fundamental duty to keep your surroundings clean. Yes or no? It's a fundamental duty to keep your monuments, protect the monuments and keep your surroundings clean also. Yes or no? So you can't blame. In the same way, suppose there is waterlogging here. Suppose if some person met with an accident, okay, they're profusely bleeding, okay, what is your responsibility? Would you wait for municipal authorities or the ambulance to come? Or would you take some action at least? Give him some first aid, give him some water, or just say that it's a responsibility of the government. No, right? So you cannot say government is responsible for everything. See, when I'm talking about reading comprehension, most important subject that should come into your mind is what? Ethics. That's what I wanted to convey, the most important point. When you're giving a solution, remember to be an ethical person. Okay. Now, is it ethical to blame government for every problem on your part as a responsible citizen? Yes or no? Interact, sir. Is it an ethical behavior of a responsible citizen to blame everything on government? No. So, this option is also eliminated. Last option, it is impossible for men to establish a good dominion. He's saying that it is impossible. I told that, right? Impossible is again a extreme word. So, answer is the C. That dominion is the best which pursues the aim of unity, has laws for good citizenship. He says that dominion, that is not an extreme word, it's a balanced word. When he says that dominion a country. If dominion means what? It's a country or a territory. So it may be India, it may be USA, it may be China, It may be France, it may be anything. He is not saying that. Had this statement been like, Western dominion is the best which pursues the aim of unity, means it is again extreme statement, eliminated. Western dominion means what? Western countries. That means you cannot say that only Western countries have the kind of laws and only they are civilized. No, right? So this is a balanced statement and C is the right answer over here. Okay. Now I'll tell you. When I said extreme statements, I am going to read all the passages again. Please, I am giving a disclaimer. I am going to read all the passages, including the meaning of it. This is an example I am telling you how UPSC traps you. Now, what is the golden rule I have given? Eliminate all the extreme statements. I will go to one passage. Wait. One second. Just a minute. Which question is this? You have your handout, right? I'll tell you that question. Yeah, question number 21 it is. Go to question number 21 in your handout, or you can see here, no need to see the handout. Right, we have got that question now. Is it visible to everyone? Yes or no? Little bit bigger. Right. Now again, don't read the passage. Which of the following statements best reflects the underlying tone of the passage? He's asking the summary of the passage or what the author wants to say. Only an educated population can best make use of benefits of economic progress. I said only. Is only an extreme word, yes or no? Can we eliminate the statement? Yes, we'll eliminate. Oh, where is one? Okay, next option. All economic development should be aimed at creation of leisure. All economic development. Is it not an extreme statement? Yes or no? Can we eliminate that? Yes, again. Use of machines should be encouraged in order to create a large leisured population. Is this statement making sense? Do you want more large leisured population? Do you want people to be productive in your country or just watch reels for 8 or 10 hours? Tell me. You want some productiveness, right? This is also this is not, it's an extreme statement in the sense, when I said extreme statement, it is not a balanced statement. Now, as an IAS officer, if I say, I am going to make automated machines in this district, so that people have more leisure time and they can have plenty of large leisure time. What is saying? A large leisured population. See, empty brain is like devil's mind. Yes or no? You can't have more people leisured. Yes or no? It will create more problems. Now today, if you ask me, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you a top secret. Top secret kaadu, మీరు సరిగ్గా అనలైజ్ చేయండి. IPL is going good. IPL it's the 17th season. Now, after India's debacle in every World Cup, whether you take in 2007, since 2013, India have not won any tournament. So, India have been going through debacle. Are they not going for a debacle? In every tournament, we have seen that India are losing. There have been calls to scrap IPL, yes or no? But is it happening? No. The reason being that, if you see since last few years, whenever IPL is there, people don't make any issues, yes or no? Do people talk about unemployment? Do your friends talk about unemployment? Do your friends talk about country's problems when IPL is going on? All you're busy is with your fan wars, RCB versus CSK, SRH versus Mumbai, yes or no? This specifically has been planned to keep people engaged. Yes or no? People, whether they have leisure time or not, the same thing is with your internet also. When you are given free internet, what happened? You forgot all your problems, yes or no? Today, even if you are not given food at home, you're okay with that. But just imagine where signals are not available, no internet, no Wi-Fi also. Would you keep quiet? What you will do? Even at 1 o'clock in the night, you will go to an area, you will start walking around the street. This is a situation I've observed in high-tech city. You will see the area where you get a signal and you'll start again operating your internet. I was seeing one day, I was returning from a movie, there were some 7 or 8 guys sitting on the bench at night 2 o'clock. It was Friday night. And police were asking them, why are you sitting here? They said, yahan pe net nahi aata sir, there is no net here. You have to come here to access the net. They found it very weird. But they said, this is not a time to be here. Please go to your respective hostels. So you can see the situation. So leisure, never ever, that's a balanced statement. Giving more leisure to people is not a balanced statement at all. If you want your country to progress, there should be good amount of productivity. Of course, there should be leisure time also. Again, if I give a statement, the people should not get a leisure time, that is also a wrong statement. It should be balance of everything. In this statement, he is not talking about productivity, he is talking only about leisure population. So this is also limited. So you will say C is the right answer, yes or no? But the answer is not C, according to the UPSC key, or if you read the passage. That's why I am saying all those techniques which is talking in YouTube, they are not following balanced approach again there. They are saying, hum aapko guarantee denge. I will not name any institute, sir. Everyone has, it's a democratic country, everyone has a right to preach whatever they want. But ultimately what I want to say is, never ever make a mistake of not reading the passage, at least once. Read the passage and then decide the answer. Then start elimination process. You can read the question first and you can check the options also. You can see which way the passage is going. But never ever make a mistake of completely not seeing the question. UPSC is very smart enough. Now read the passage once. Let's go into read the passage. In an economic organization, allowing mankind to benefit by the productivity of machines, you can circle this, should lead to a very good life of leisure. You can circle this also. And much leisure is apt to be tedious. When I said tedious, what is meant by tedious? It's a monotonous thing. When I said tedious, you're doing the same thing in and out. All of you like Hyderabadi biryani, yes or no? Yes or no? If I am giving you everyday Hyderabadi biryani to eat, what would you say after a week? Would you still eat or at least comment that, sir, what, sir, daily Hyderabadi biryani? Na? At least change the menu. Na? Yes or no? When I said tedious, that is the meaning of it. Doing the same thing again and again. Okay? So, except to those who have intelligent activities and interests. See, he is saying that we can create a leisure life by productivity of machines, but it is dependent on people how they use the leisure time. Most of the people are monotonous. They don't use the leisure properly. Those who have intelligent activities and interests, they can use this leisure time well. If a leisured population is to be happy, he's saying any leisure person, any person who is having a leisure time, plenty of leisure time or whatever, don't say plenty of leisure time, he has not written it there. Whatever is there in passage, you have to stick to the passage only. Don't read outside the passage. It must be, you see here, I'm circling this word. It must be an educated population and must be educated with a view to enjoyment as well to the direct useful of technical knowledge. This is exactly what is happening today. Okay. All of you would have been using some AI tools, yes or no? Suppose you are not educated in AI. You don't know what are the benefits and what are the merits and demerits of the AI. You are having some issue with your friend. What you will use is using an AI tool. I'm just giving an example. You send a derogatory message to someone using his voice. What is the initial reaction of the person? They will think that that particular person has said a derogatory remark. Either you start punishing him, taking law into your hands, and that person is most affected. So, if the person is given technology without having the knowledge or the merits and demerits about it, that leisure will become, that's what is happening there. Deep fakes. That Rashmika Mandanas incident, it happened. Even recently, when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Bill Gates, he was saying the same thing. My voice is being imitated using AI, and someday my voice will be misused and it will create a harakiri situation. I may not give the statement, but some miscreants using my voice may give a statement and they will completely spoil the purpose of it. So that is what he is saying, that it must be an educated population. When I said educated population, it doesn't mean literacy or your school marks. You should be having an educated brain. Many people are literate, yes or no? A person may be literate. He may be from IIT also. He may be from MIT also. Harvard graduate also. But if he starts drinking on the road and starts creating nuisance, is he an educated person? No, by any means. Your degrees or your credentials do not define how educated you are. It's your behavior, it's your upbringing. Yes or no? That's what is meant by education here. Now, have you understood what is the gist of the passage? He's saying you can give leisure time to people, but people should understand what is the useful, how the leisure time has to be utilized. Leisure time is good for everyone, but people should have the intelligence how to use the leisure time. And also he is saying that people should be educated enough to understand the usefulness of technical knowledge while you are using the leisure time. Recently, one more thing also, reels. There was one case in Holi, yes or no? Holi. There were two girls who were doing obscene acts on the scooter, and they were fined 33,000 initially, and they were fined 47,000 after that. Finally, they were arrested. Is that what you do in your leisure time? That means they don't know what is good and what is bad in the technology. Yes or no? So now come to the options again. Only an educated population can best make use of benefits of economic process. Bang on, because it must be an educated population. See the passage once. It must be he himself is saying, you can, maximum 95% of the times, you can eliminate the extreme statements, but when the passage is explicitly stating that it must be, passage himself is saying that it must be an educated population only. Already I have explained you what he meant by educated population. He doesn't mean literacy. He meant digital literacy over there, technical literacy. The do's and don'ts while using the technology. Yes or no? So, first option would be the right answer. We'll see the other options also, how to eliminate it. We'll keep on hold. This option looks good for the passage. P. All economic development should be aimed at creation of leisure. No. He is saying that he is giving some conditions over there. When he said, did he say all economic development? He is saying that In an economic organization, productivity of machines should lead to leisure. But he never said all economic development. Did he use the word all economic development? No. An increase in educated population of a country leads to increase in happiness of its people. Did he mention anywhere about education, literacy of the country or the education of the country? What he was saying here, an increase in educated population of a country leads to an increase in happiness. Come back to the passage. If he's talking about whom? Leisured population to be happy. He's talking about whom? Leisured population. He's not talking about educated population. No. He's talking about whom? You may argue saying that, sir, this is the UPSC trap. E option chala mandi veltaru. Most of the people would go to बहुत सारे लोग इस ऑप्शन पे जाएंगे सी ऑप्शन. दिस इज अ यूपीएससी ट्रैप because this option looks very decent, very balanced. It is very attractive also by using all the tips and tricks. But see the passage, gist of the passage. An increase in educated population of a country leads to increase in happiness of its people. Here he is saying if a leisured population is to be happy. Here is talking about leisured population, not the educated population. Yes or no? No, why would he go? Sir, already here happy is there, na? Happy is there. But what about the sentence? Read the entire sentence, yeah? That's why reading a passage is very important. Have you understood what I am saying? Backbenchers, sir. He is talking about leisured population to be happy, not educated population. This option is eliminated. Anyways, D is eliminated. Answer is what? So blindly don't say extreme statement eliminate. No. That's why I have explained with you an example. I have explained you two questions. In one question, that thing worked very well. No problem. But did it work in this question? You are falling into the UPSC trap. That's what I said. Don't be rigid. Don't be rigid when you're choosing the options. Sir has said, and some YouTube videos said that eliminate extreme populations. Only in educated population, eliminate immediately. That is extreme situation. You are being extreme over here. See, 99% of the times you can eliminate, but there will be but 1%. That's why I wantedly gave this question to you. Are we clear? See, basically, while giving questions also, they would be giving questions on what? Underlying tone. Underlying tone. They would say, what else? Crux. Main idea. Central idea. Okay. Crux. Crux is already written, right? Okay. They would also ask you central idea. Practical, rational. These are some words they use. What is the rational idea of the passage? What is the practical idea of the passage? Okay. Have you understood this question? Yes or no? Have you understood how we arrived at A? Okay. Now we'll go to one more question. Let's go to the okay. Let's go to question number 1 now. We'll start solving the RCs now. Okay. This was a question given in CSAT 2021 question paper. Let's read the passage. With respect to with respect to what are called denominations of religion. Denominations of religion means they can be of any religion, yes or no? If everyone is left to be a judge of his religion, there is no such thing as religion that is wrong. If someone asks you, what is so good about religion, you will say plenty of good things, right? You will not say bad about your religion. But if they are to be a judge of others' religion, there is no such thing that religion is right. Now, if I am asked about some opposite religion, I will say bad things about it. I will say my religion is best here. Okay, yes or no? My general reaction. Okay. Therefore, all the world is right or all the world is wrong in the matter of religion. So, in the world, he is saying that no religion is right, no religion is wrong. Very simple. To summarize this passage, is saying that in this particular world, no religion is right, no religion is wrong. It is all based on perception of people. That's the underlying tone of the passage. Yes or no? What is the underlying tone of the passage? He's saying that if you ask some random person, what is so special about your religion? I will say good things. If the same person asks me about the other religion, I may say bad or I may say good, but I'll generally say bad things. So he is saying that there's nothing wrong or right in the religion. It is all about the perception of the individual. Right. Now see the options. What is the most logical assumption? Now, let me tell you one thing. Whenever they're asking the question about assumption, we'll apply a small formula like this. When your passage is true, your assumption must also be true. Generally, whatever is given in the passage is going to be true, yes or no? Because you are going to restrict yourself to passage itself. You are not going outside of the passage. So, what is the logical assumption that can be made from the passage given above? No man can live without adhering to some religious domination. Extreme statement. There may be some atheists also, yes or no? Opposite my house only, there's one atheist. He doesn't believe in religion. In the passage, he has nowhere spoken that every person has to be somewhere religiously attached. Did he speak about that? Did he say that? No man can live without adhering to some religious denomination. There can be some people who don't follow any religion. There can be some people who don't believe God. They're called as what? Atheists. Nastik bolte hain un logon ko. This is eliminated. Nowhere is talking about that in passage. It is a duty of everyone to propagate one's religious domination. Is it a duty to propagate your religion? Fundamental rights bhi nahi bolta hai. Fundamental rights say that they can propagate their religion if they want, but nowhere it is said that it is a duty. Is it there in fundamental duty to propagate? You have to propagate your religion? Nowhere. No. Religious denominations tend to ignore the unity of man. This looks like the answer. This is more rational. Last. Men do not understand their own religious denomination. No. The passage is saying that they understand their religion very well. They talk about good about that. So, that is contradicting the passage. Answer is C. Now, religious denominations tend to ignore the unity of man. That is very much correct because you have a friend of opposite religion. He is your best friend. He is of opposite religion. Now, we are talking about bad about that religion. You talk bad about that person also. Are you not ignoring the unity there? You are forgetting that he is your friend. You are forgetting that he is your man of your, he is a human being at the end of the day. You are dividing the man's unity on the basis of religion, yes or no? You will say that my religion is very good. The persons of those religions are very bad. Are you not discriminating? Are you not discriminating the unity? Yes or no? This looks the most logical thing. Religious denominations tend to ignore the unity of the man. Yes, it's an assumption. This is not a central idea of the passage. He's saying assumption. When, as per the passage, this assumption is true. And this question, in this question, maybe D is the UPSC trap. What you would say is that you will think in other way also. You would say that there are some extremist elements of every religion where they do not understand. For example, ISIS. People say that they don't understand their own religion and they keep fighting in the name of jihad. But that's not stated in the passage. Is it stated in the passage? No. You will have to restrict yourself to the passage given. Are you understanding the point? Yes or no? I want everyone's ears here. Are you all ears? Yes or no? Are you feeling comfortable with RC? Yes or no? Okay, fine. So, this is the first question. Now, let's go to the second question now. C is the right answer. Okay. This question already we discussed. Sorry. Handouts ivalledu. Sorry, I'm sorry here. Can you please distribute among yourself? I mean, pass it on. Handouts తీసుకొని you circulate. Okay. Okay, pass on the handouts. We will discuss the question meanwhile. Already this question we have arrived at the answer and the answer is true also. But we'll read the passage once. It is certain that seditions, wars and contempt or breach of the laws are not so much to be imputed to to the wickedness of the subjects as to the bad state of a dominion. Okay. Now what he is saying is that don't link the seditions, wars and contempt or breach of laws not so much to the wickedness of the subjects. These are laws made to the government, governing the country. So just because there are some tough laws, don't think that it reflects to the bad state of a dominion. For men are not born for citizenship, but okay. Make it a little bit bigger. Right. Okay. For men are not born for citizenship, but must be made so. Besides, see, one more thing I'll tell you. You need not understand every aspect of the passage also. You are not an English Cambridge professor here. To understand each line over there, you understand the basic essence. For men are not born for citizenship, but must be made so. Even if the man is not born for citizenship of the country, he must be given the citizenship. Besides, men's natural passions are everywhere the same, and if wickedness more prevails and more offences are committed in one commonwealth than in other, it is certain that the former has neither enough pursued the end of unity nor framed its laws with sufficient forethought, and that therefore it has failed in making quite good its right as a commonwealth. Now what he's saying is that it is the man's behavior or his trait that he wants to pursue his passion. But in pursuing his passion, if the wickedness of the law prevails and more offences are committed in one commonwealth, for example, let us say there is Pakistan. In Pakistan, if something is spoken about the state of the religion, Islam over there, religious blasphemy enter. They call it as a blasphemy. And they're punished immediately. That means there are plenty of cases lodged on them, on the citizens over there. Whenever you are lodging plenty of cases, it says that the former has neither enough pursued the end of unity. It has not pursued the meaning of unity. It has not framed its law with sufficient forethought. That means their laws are not proper. Even the sedition law, which was discussed in our country also, was talking about that. Are we too harsh? And therefore, it has failed in making quite good as its right as a commonwealth. That means, if there are too many cases, if it is showing persons in a bad light always, that means laws are more stringent and the nation has failed. But as I said, Pakistan is the best example of it. Even one prime minister, I believe, has not survived for 5 years over there. So let's see the options now. Seditions, wars, and breach of laws are inevitable. Inevitable is a extreme word, and he's not saying that. He is saying that if you see this, one commonwealth, then another. When he says commonwealth, you know commonwealth nations, yes or no? Which is existing from British Queen's time. He's saying that when he says one commonwealth and other, that means he's saying that laws are not bad in every country. There are good in some country, they are bad in some other country. So this option is eliminated. It is not the people, but the sovereign who is responsible for all the problems. He is not talking about all the problems here. He is talking about one particular aspect. Yes or no? He is talking about sedition and he is talking about wars and contempt. He is not talking. Suppose if you are not getting water, if you are throwing garbage on the road, is government responsible for that, or as a citizen you are responsible for that? Citizens have got to be responsible. So this is eliminated. This is eliminated. This is eliminated. That dominion is the best, which pursues the aim of unity and has laws for good citizenship. Now see here. It is certain that the former has neither enough pursued the end of unity nor framed its law with sufficient forethought, and therefore it has failed in making quite good its right as a commonwealth. Now see here. That dominion is the best which pursues the aim of unity and has laws for good citizenship. Is it not implied in the passage? Is it not implied in the passage? He is saying that that dominion which is not framing laws well and which is pursuing its citizens for anything is not pursuing for unity, and also it is not doing the laws for good citizenship. Yes or no? That is a point spoken here. So C is the right answer. It looks like, we'll say D also. It is impossible for men to establish a good dominion. Is it impossible? Nowhere. Is it in the scope of passage? Is it talking about the man over there? It's not talking about man. It's talking about sovereign who makes the laws. This is eliminated. So answer is what? C is the right answer. Okay, right. Now, if you see these both passages that we have discussed till now, it is more related to political science. Yes or no? Now, let's take another political science passage here. One second. Fine. I think even those are following from Zoom also, I hope that the font is clear. I'm trying to make font a little bit bigger. 1 second. That's it. That's the maximum I can see. Okay. Right. Inequality violates a basic democratic norm. Inequality. Circle this. Inequality violates the basic democratic norm. When someone is preaching inequality in any form, it is basically violating the democracy. The equal standing of citizens Okay, democratic norm. What is it? What is a democratic norm? What is it violating? Equal standing of citizens. That is the norm. Equality is a relation that obtains between persons in respect of some fundamental characteristic that they share in common. Okay, equality is a relation that obtains between person in respect of some fundamental characteristic that they share in common. Yes or no? That's what the law of equality says. Okay, equality is morally speaking a default principle. When I say default, it means it has to be there. It is by default. Like how sun rises in the east, equality should exist in any dominion. Therefore, persons should not be discriminated on grounds such as race, caste, gender, ethnicity, disability, or class. This is your fundamental right. Yes or no? This is explicitly there in fundamental right. These features are human conditions. These features of human condition are morally irrelevant. Okay. These features of human condition are morally irrelevant. The idea that one should treat persons with respect, not only because of some of these persons, some special have some special features or talent. For example, skilled cricketers, gifted musicians, or literally giants. But because persons are human being is now a part of common sense morality. Now, in the passage is saying that equality is a democratic norm. Okay, if you are not following equality, you are violating it. Then he says that no person should be discriminated on the basis of caste, religion, gender, ethnicity, or disability or class. Then he says that these principles have somewhat become morally irrelevant now, because the idea that one should treat person with some respect is not because person is having some talent. Suppose if there is Virat Kohli, first of all, he should treat Virat Kohli with respect because he is a human being, not because he is a great cricketer. Yes or no? That's what he is saying. That is a part of common sense morality. It is not, this is a common sense morality. And what is he saying? This is a part of common sense that a person should not be treated by his profession, by his class, by his gender. He has to be treated as a human being first. That is a part of a basic norm. What is a basic norm? Democratic norm. Now let's see. With reference to the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Equality is a prerequisite for people to participate in multiple transactions of a society from a position of confidence. Yes, it is a prerequisite. Yes or no? That's what he is saying, right? Why it is a prerequisite? He says it's a common sense thing. When he is referring to common sense, it is a prerequisite. Prerequisite means what? For attending the CSAT class, your prerequisite is to register yourself with the office. Or prerequisite is what? At least you should prepare yourself for the class before coming. That's a prerequisite. So first point seems good. Occurrence of, okay, one more thing. Now, as I said, first point is correct. First point is correct. So, occurrence of inequality is detrimental to survival of democracy. Occurrence of inequality. Now, tell me one thing. He says that if someone is preaching inequality, it is violating democratic norm. But has anywhere it is written that occurrence of inequality is detrimental to survival of democracy? Survival is an extreme word here, yes or no? Now, suppose if I am preaching inequality towards you based on some specific thing, I would say that you are still preparing for examinations. You don't have a job in your hand also. You don't try to tell me what you are. I am showing inequality towards you. I am not treating you with the dignity or respect that you should get. Yes or no? But just because I am not treating with respect, does it mean that democracy will not survive in this country? It's an extreme word, right? Because someone is preaching inequality in this country, Does it mean that there is no democracy in this country? No. Does it mean that democracy is going to die? No. Survival is an extreme word. We will eliminate it. Equal standing of all citizens is an idea that cannot actually be realized even in a democracy. This is again a wrong statement. What is it saying? Inequality violates a basic democratic norm. That means the basic democratic norm itself is equality. Democracy law, the first point is that equality should exist. He is saying that equal standing of all citizens is an idea that cannot be realized in democracy also. Is it correct? If it cannot be realized in democracy, there is no point of democracy. If you are not able to attain equality, there is no point in democracy. So this is also a wrong statement. So answer should be 1 and 4 because fourth option, anyways 2 and 3 are eliminated now. Fourth one. Right to equality should be incorporated into our values and day-to-day political vocabulary. Yes, because he is saying what? Because persons are human being is now a part of common sense morality. If it is a common sense morality, it should be incorporated into our values and day-to-day political vocabulary. So 1 and 4 is the right answer. Now have you understood why 2 and 3 are eliminated? Okay. Can you now tell me why 2 and 3 are eliminated? In I think in some this Zoom class, someone has not seen me on the screen. I'm just going to explain you again. See here. Why I have eliminated 2 and 3 options I'm telling you. I think all of you are clear why we have selected 1 and 4. Occurrence of inequality is detrimental to survival of democracy. Nowhere is talking about survival of democracy. One more key rule, please write it down. Please write it down, everyone. What is the key rule? Write down. Never go outside the scope of passage. Never go for the options which is outside the scope of the passage. Never go for an option which is outside the scope of the passage. Is it clear? First norm what we have studied, I am going to summarize it at the end of the class. First norm what we have learned, extreme words are 95% of the time extreme words you should eliminate. But read the passage. Second, what I am saying, take a balanced approach while seeing the solutions. Third one, this is a UPSC trap. The second thing is you must feel that okay, second option is very tempting over there. It's a UPSC trap because you will think, yes, if there is inequality, that means that democracy is not there. But he's not talking about democracy existing over there. He's talking about survival of democracy. And nowhere in the passage is talking about existence or survival of democracy. He is only saying that democracy basic norm is equality. That's it. He is not talking whether inequality leads to survival of democracy, whether democracy will collapse, whether democracy will stand, whether democracy will sleep. He's not talking about that. He is only talking about basic norm of democracy, that is following equality. If I have to summarize this passage in a sentence, the basic norm of democracy is equality of people. That's it. And another sentence I can add is, it is mere common sense that equality is followed. Not only in democracy, it has to be followed everywhere. It's a mere morality principle, the equality. Okay, right. Let's go to the next question now. So answer is 1 and 4 here. Right. This is also another political science passage. 2021 paper. Political science passage is a little bit tough. Not tough exactly, but you need to understand what they is talking about. Are we clear so far? Are you feeling comfortable in RC? Yes or no? I want a clear feedback, sir. In the end, if you are not understanding, please tell me. There is no point of me coming into the class if you are not understanding. Please be free. If you have any doubts, please ask me. If you're not clear with something, please ask me again and again. But don't have any doubt. Are you understanding how to approach RC? Yes or no? Is it difficult? And one more thing I want to tell you, don't complain to me that we don't have time. This is not a bank exam where there is a time constraint. There is plenty of time here. Even if you spend a half an hour on RC, it is more than enough. Maximum 40 minutes. Still 1 hour 20 minutes is there for arithmetic and reasoning, right? Yes or no? Okay. And here you are not expected to get 100%. It is a qualifying exam. And merit is not going to be decided on this examination. So if someone is doing CSAT paper more quickly than you, it doesn't really matter. All you need is to clear the examination. Your aim is what? To clear this examination by little bit of good margin. Not just 67. Dangerous. 80, 85 marks. That's it. Enough. Done. You don't require more than that. Yes or no? Do you require? Because you don't have time for that also. You need to study general studies. You need to prepare for mains. You have to write answer practice. You have to read current affairs. So much of things have to go into your mind. So you cannot keep yourself stressed because of this RC. That's why this workshop, this intention of conducting this workshop by Reflections IAS Academy is that only. They want you to take this banana peel kind of paper out of your way. They want everyone to clear this paper and not suffer. Because just because of this paper, you may lose the race completely. Again, you have to start from scratch. If you take chartered accountant examination, if you take doctor's exam, MBBS also, if you fail in that particular subject, you need to again take that examination. But here, if you fail in prelims or even in interview also, again you have to start writing from scratch. Is it not too cruel on UPSC part? Yes, it is cruel, sir. It is very cruel. Even if UPSC comes and asks me, I'll say, yes, you are very cruel is what I will say. I'm not talking about person here. I'm not talking about Prime Minister or government or person. As an entity, I'm saying UPSC is very cruel by its rules. Because if you're failing in interview, for example, in chartered, has someone pursued chartered accountancy here? Have they written their examination? I have some of my family members, that's why I know that well. If they fail in the final exam, they'll again write their final group only. Those 4 papers only. They don't start from CPT again. Yes or no? But here, it is like you're starting from CPT again. That's why your effort should have some value. The day one itself I told you, UPSC is a very important aspect of your life, but UPSC is not your life. UPSC is an important aspect of your life, no doubt. But only UPSC is not your life. Your time is very valuable. So, just because of the CSAT paper, 1 year of your hard work should not go into vain. Is the most important motive, our agenda of conducting this CSAT workshop. And we want to give you practical solutions. I'm not going to tell you that RCs can be solved in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, just eliminate everything. No. We want to be on the real ground. Reality check. Okay? So I'm telling you techniques also at the same time. I'm telling you the most important thing, read the passage at least once. At least once you have to read the passage. Are you clear? Yes or no? So let's go to the question now. Aristocratic government. Aristocratic government ruins itself by limiting too narrowly within the power it is confined. Now, what is meant by aristocratic government? Can anyone tell me? Aristocratic government is a government led by rich people, nobles. You can say noble people. So, it's saying aristocratic government ruins itself by limiting too narrowly the circle within which power is confined. That means they are confined within too much within themselves. Because aristocratic government is led by only few people who are nobles. who are rich people or affluent people. So they are not taking the contents of other people. So that is why it is too limited. Oligarchic government ruins itself by incautious scramble for immediate wealth. Now this oligarchy government is like it is only ruled by few people with their vested interests. Suppose there are 5 people here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Now we 6 people would like to rule this Ashok Nagar. Now only we 6 people are involved. What happens? We have 3 guys and 3 girls. Happily we will try to rule the roost. We have equality also, yes or no? We will say we will rule the world. We will not care about other people. Our intention is only to make wealth, yes or no? 6 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's it. And we will discriminate these people. We will tax them very high. We will extort from them. We will do whatever we want. That is what is oligarchy. Now, but even democracy ruins itself by excess of democracy. He is saying democracy itself will ruin itself because of excess of democracy. Its basic principle is equal right all to hold office and determine public policy. In democracy, every public office can be held by everyone. That's what we were discussing in the previous questions, equality and determine public policy. This is at first glance a delightful arrangement. It becomes disastrous because the people are not properly equipped by education to select the best rulers and the wisest courses. The people have no understanding and only repeat what their rulers are pleased to tell them. Such a democracy is tyranny or autocracy. It's written by Plato, who was a political scientist. What is he saying here? He is saying the very basic thing. Democracy is also not a democracy if people are not educated enough to select the right rulers. Yes or no? When they are voting a person, vote the right person. Suppose if you are voting for an MLA or an MP, you should see that he is doing development in your locality. It should not be based on some vested interests. Yes or no? It is running now, yes or no? Who gives more money, we will vote for them. Yes or no? Nowadays, people have become very smart. They are not like that. They are taking money from every political party and they are voting for whom they want. Yes or no? Indians are too smart. Okay? Only world thinks that we are lagging behind, but they don't understand what kind of intelligence we have. Really, seriously, we are very intelligent. That's why wherever we go, we dominate. Even today in US also we are dominating. Yes or no? That is there. That's why they are killing us in USA. They are not able to see our domination. That's what happens, right? If someone is dominating your locality, some US citizen comes here and start making laws and he starts dominating, will you accept? You will thrash him, yes or no? In the same way, they are not able to withstand. Because our people are taking their jobs, yes or no? The basic understanding is that we have to understand what is democracy. In democracy, each person has a right. Every person has a right to hold a public office and they can make public policies. But democracy is not fully justified if you do not have the right kind of education. Democracy is not justified if you do not know how to select the best rulers and the wisest courses of action. The people who have no understanding and only repeat what rulers are pleased to tell them. Now suppose, now every prime minister of a country will give some speeches, yes or no? Generally, what do the political leaders speak? Whoever it may be from BJP, Congress Party, TRS, they will tell in the speeches what pleases people, yes or no? No one will tell in public that you should be more responsible, you should follow fundamental duties, okay? You should elect the wisest rulers. No one tells all this. What they will say? I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I will look you like a Maharani, I'll look you like a Maharaja. You should not, your feet would be ingrained with gold. They'll make all nonsense promises, yes or no? But that's not democracy. We should be smart enough. That's what this passage is talking about. Now, before that, he says that all kinds of governance, whether it is oligarchy or whether it is aristocratic government, every every form of government, if it is not applied in the right way, will perish. That's what he's wanting to say. Let's see. Which of the following best of the crux? Crux under central idea of the passage. Crux means what? Central idea of the passage. Human societies experiment with different form of governments. Is he talking about human societies here? Have you seen a word human societies in the passage? Have you seen a word? Eliminate, out of scope of passage, out of this scope. Any form of government tends to deteriorate by excess of its basic principle. This looks like a bang on answer. You see this statement. Even democracy ruins itself by excess of democracy. Here, aristocratic government ruins itself by limiting too narrowly within which power is confined. Aristocratic government means what? Its governance has to be done by the nobles, only few people. That's why they're confined to those few people. And that's why they're not able to govern properly. Oligarchy, only some important people. Again, same. They're following the basic principle of their governance. Even democracy. So this looks like the answer. We'll keep it on hold. Education of all citizens ensures a perfect, functional, and sustainable democracy. Perfect. Perfect. Extreme word. Eliminate. Yes, you have to educate. But does he say that education of people will lead to perfect democracy? Perfect is like ideal situation. Is it? No. Eliminate. This is just logical reasoning, sir. Is it English? Tell me first of all. Eliminate it. See, gone. Having a government is a necessary, again extreme word. Having a government is a necessary evil because tyranny is inherent in any form of government. Inherent means what? By virtue. Extreme word. Is he talking that way? He is saying that government can be responsible and it is responsible to the people if people are educated well so that they can elect the right rulers. But nowhere is saying that tyranny. Tyranny means what? Autocracy is inherent. Dictatorship. Tyranny or autocracy means what? Dictatorship. Is it inherent in any form of government? If that's the case, if dictatorship is inherent in any form of government, most of the world will be ruled by dictators. Is it so? No. Think practically. Think your GS paper. Is the world fully ruled by dictator rulers? No. Is it dictatorship in the world? No. Today, democracy is thriving. It is not dictatorship. Of course, there are some countries where dictatorship is going on. For example, you can take the situation of China and Russia today. But you cannot say about the whole world. If you take India, USA, India is a vibrant democracy. USA is also a vibrant democracy. Yes or no? So, answer is B. Any form of government tends to deteriorate by excess of its way. It is there in the statements here. But even democracy ruins itself by excess of democracy. And here also, narrowly, limiting too narrowly. That means that form of government, aristocracy, oligarchy, and democracy, it is following too much of its principle. It is limiting itself. It is not flexible. It is rigid. Whatever is there in our form of government will follow that only. But it is not thinking flexibly. That's what he means. So answer is what? Now tell me, is it English comprehension? Do you require vocabulary in this? Do you require vocabulary? All you have to do is eliminate the extreme statements, take the balanced statements, read the passage once, and take the statements out which is out of the context of the passage, which is not in the passage. Now you may think, this is a UPSC trap, A option. Human societies experiment with different form of governments because he has talked about three governments here, oligarchy, aristocracy, democracy. You may tend to go, but has he spoken about human society? No. It's a UPSC trap. You are a mouse and UPSC is the trap. Go inside, get ingrained in the trap. That should not be done. Yes or no? Is it clear? So answer is what? D. Right, sir, let's go to the next passage now, the fifth passage. Right. This is related to science and technology, renewable energy and non-renewable energy concept. Energy challenges. India faces a challenging immediate future in energy and climate policy making. Now today, energy and climate policy is interconnected, yes or no? If we are using more and more of non-renewable sources of energy like coal and fossil fuel, oils, petrol and diesel, you are polluting the environment. So, if you are using renewable sources of energy like solar, wind, water to some extent, that's little, even water to some extent is non-renewable only, because if you use too much of excessive water also it leads to trouble. So today India faces a challenging immediate future in energy and sorry, one second. Right. India faces a challenging immediate future in energy and climate policy making. Okay. The problems are multiple. Sputtering fossil fuel production capability, limited access to electricity, and modern cooking fuel for the poorest. Rising fuel imports in an unstable global energy context. You see here, he's saying fossil fuel productivity is volatile. Okay. We don't know when the oil reserves and the coal reserves will get extinct. Limited access to electricity. Yes. Modern cooking fuel. For example, our Prime Minister PM Ujjwala Yojana, he is giving LPG cylinders to poor households. And rising fuel imports in an unstable global energy. Yes or no? Because of Russia-Ukraine war, the oil prices have been volatile. Yes or no? No. Okay. In the unstable global energy context, continued electricity pricing and governance challenges leading to costly deficits or surplus supply, and not least growing environmental contestation around land, water and air. But all is not bleak. He says, till here, he's talking about a problem of energy and climate challenges. Now then he says, he's changing the tone of the passage. Till now I was telling these are all the problems. My life is totally miserable. But having said that, still my life has some hope towards it. That's what he's saying. But all is not bleak. Growing energy efficiency programs, integrated urbanization and transport policy discussions, inroads to enhancing energy access and security, and bold renewable energy initiatives, even if not fully conceptualized, suggest the promise of transformation. What he is saying is that India is facing lot of challenges in energy sector and climate challenges also. But it is completely not bleak. With government's intervention, growing energy efficiency programs, transport policy and integrated urbanization, inroads to enhancing energy access and security, bold renewable energy initiatives, even if it is not completely conceptualized or implemented, we still have the promise of transformation. Now, which of the following statements best reflects the critical message conveyed by the passage given above? What is it trying to convey? India's energy decision making process is ever more complex and interconnected. Ever more is not what you call extreme word. It is complicated. When you read this passage, is it easy? Do you think India's decision making is easy? Tell me. No. It has plenty of problems, but it has got promise also. This looks like this may be kept on hold. India's energy and climate policy is heavily tuned to sustainable development goals. You are not studying GS here. In this passage, as is spoken about sustainable development goals, has he spoken about SDGs? Has he spoken? No. Eliminated. As this is outside the context of passage. This one. Outside context of passage. Okay, right. India, sorry. This part I'm talking about. This is outside the context of passage, right? India's energy and climate actions are not compatible with its broader social, economic, and environmental goals. Now, if you read the end of the passage, he is saying that the situation is promising, yes or no? Now, he is saying, I told you, as a government officer, this is it not negative statement? Is it not negative statement? As an officer tomorrow, will you say the government policies are not compatible with energy goals and the sustainable development goals? Who is making the policies? You the officer only, yeah. Modi or Amit Shah or you know what? Our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman will not make the entire policies. You as the officer is going to suggest them. They are going to see that it is best implemented. Yes or no? So, this is again a negative statement. C is eliminated. D. India's energy decision making process is a straightforward Is it straightforward? Nowhere. And it says supply oriented and ignores the demand side. Where is he talking about supply side and demand side? Is he talking about it at least? No. Eliminate it. Answer is A. Simple. India's energy decision making process is ever more complex and interconnected. In India, whatever decision you're taking, whether it's a renewable energy policy or whether it is a cooking fuel, transportation, everything is interconnected and it is complex. It is not very easy to implement. But as a government, as an officer, we are making the best efforts. Our government is making the best efforts in tune to the requirements of today. Is it not a balanced statement? Tell me first of all. Is it not a solution looking? Is it not a forward looking solution? Yes or no? It is a forward looking statement, which is more balanced. We are shedding optimism. Yes or no? As an officer, you should never be a pessimistic. You don't choose a pessimistic answer. No. When you should choose, when it is explicitly stated, directly it is given, then only you should choose such option. Is it clear? Right. So answer is what, sir? A is the right answer. Option A is the right answer. Next. Question number 6 now. Let's see the next question now. Right. Okay. Okay. This is related to somewhat biology. Right. Let's see this question. There are reports that some of the antibiotics sold in the market are fed to poultry and other livestock as growth promoters. Now, if you see in biology, there is a situation, especially in countries like USA, where the adolescent boys and girls, they're growing abnormal height. Yes or no? If you see, sometimes, I can see in my relatives only, 25, one boy is there. Now, I have one of my cousin, 25 years, he's 25 years, he looks very small. But there is another 18-year-old guy who is very tall. That is happening because they are giving antibiotics to poultry and livestock. Abnormal growth. All the kinds of hormonal diseases is happening to everyone, whether it's irrespective of gender, boys or girls also. This is because of these kind of antibiotic. Abnormal. Even the kind of processed chicken or mutton you're eating is also not very safe. They're using antibiotics, they're using all kinds of chemicals to preserve it. Now, they are growth promoters. What is antibiotics used for? Growth promoters. Overusing these substances can create superbugs, pathogens, that are resistant to multiple drugs and could be passed along humans. Now, what happens when you take antibiotics? Suppose during COVID time, most of the antibiotics didn't work because that virus developed resistance towards most of the antibiotics. Mindful of that, some farming companies have stopped using the drugs to make chickens gain weight faster. Since Denmark banned antibiotic growth promoters in the 1990s, the major pork exporters say it is producing more pigs and the animals get fewer diseases. Now, what is the summary of this passage? Now, what summary says is that antibiotics were used in poultry products, which in turn will create drug-resistant diseases and which will create problems and it can be passed on to humans also. After realizing, some farming companies have stopped using that and they made sure that those drugs were not used which were making chickens grow weight faster. Now you see what happens is that any process to happen naturally it will take time. So what they're doing, so that it gains more size and more weight, they're giving drugs, antibiotics. So after Denmark banned those antibiotic growth promoters in 1990s, the major pork exporters, pork is pig, is producing more pigs and animals are getting less diseases. When animals are getting less diseases, the diseases will not be passed on to us. So basically what he is saying is that the gist of this passage in one single word is antibiotics should not be used as growth promoters. That's it. Now come to the options. Critical message. People should avoid consuming the products of animal farming. What will happen? He will die if he will not consume. It's an extreme statement. Should we avoid? Can we avoid? Can you avoid milk? Can you avoid paneer? Even talking vegetarians also. Can you avoid Hyderabadi biryani? These all are animal products only. Yes or no? Can you avoid? No way. Gone. This is the extreme statement and doesn't make any sense. Is it making any sense? You're talking, even 5-year-old kid will not talk like that. You should be more balanced while you're talking. Balanced statements only these call. We should only take balanced statements. सिर्फ बैलेंस स्टेटमेंट्स ही लेंगे हम, दूसरा स्टेटमेंट्स नहीं लेंगे. Second, foods of animal origin should be replaced with foods of plant origin. Is plant spoken about anywhere? Is it spoken in the passage? No. Outside the context. This is outside the context of the passage. No way. Using antibiotics in animals should be banned. This is an extreme statement again. Why? Suppose if animal, let us say a cow gets a fever, it is having some disease. Would you stop antibiotics on that cow and let it allow to die? Or a buffalo? No, right? He is only saying that antibiotics should not be used for growth promotion. Nowhere he is saying that antibiotics should be completely banned. Is he saying antibiotics should be completely banned? No. This is again extreme statement. Antibiotics should be only used to treat diseases. Yes. This is correct. Malika, only don't think it's an extreme. That's why I said read the passage. If you are using this statement, all 4 statements are wrong only here. No. The passage is saying that antibiotics should not be used as growth promoters. Then what is antibiotics used for? Treating diseases. That is a basic thing here. Is it clear? That's why don't see the extreme option immediately and say this is wrong. No. Read the passage once. Form the gist of the passage. Is it clear? Answer is D. Antibiotics should only be used to treat diseases. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. See here. Farming companies have used the antibiotic drugs to make chickens. Okay, wait 1 second. Denmark banned antibiotic growth. You seen this? He's only talking about that. He's not talking about diseases. Antibiotic growth promoters has been banned, not to cure diseases. Antibiotics has two purposes according to the passage. One is to growth. Second is to treat diseases. He is banning the growth promoters. So what should be the antibiotics used for? For treating the diseases. Right. Next. Answer is D, sir. Answer is D. Okay. Right. Next. Okay. Right. Policymakers and media have placed the blame for skyrocketing food prices on a variety of factors, including high fuel prices, bad weather. Policymakers and media Policymakers and media have placed the blame for skyrocketing food prices on a variety of factors, including high fuel prices, bad weather in key food producing countries, and the diversion of land to non-food production. Increased emphasis, however, has been placed on surge in demand for food from the most populous emerging economies. It seems highly probable that mass consumption in these countries could be well poised to create a food crisis. Now, what is he explicitly saying in this passage is that policy makers and media have blamed skyrocketing food prices due to high fuel prices, bad weather, extreme weather conditions in food producing countries, and diversification of agricultural land to some commercial activities. That's what is happening in cities, right? Increased emphasis, however, has been placed for surge in demand of food. Where the surge in demand is there for food production? In populous emerging economies. And in those populous emerging economies, there is a probability of mass consumption, and it is poised to get a food crisis. What is the passage saying? First, he has given the reasons why food consumption, why the food prices are growing. He has reasoned it. The first thing he has done is he has given a reason why food prices are rising. Okay. Then next, what happened is that he has given there is a surge in demand where in populous emerging economies. Where the surge is there in populous emerging economies, and he says that there is a mass consumption in those countries. Mass consumption is going to be there, and in those populous emerging economies, there is a probability of more chances of facing a food crisis. Now, see the questions now. With reference to the above passage, following assumptions have been made. Oil producing countries are one of the reasons for high food prices. Now, in the passage, if you go back to the passage once, has he anywhere spoken about oil producing countries? He said high fuel prices. He is only talking about high fuel prices. Now, for high fuel prices, oil producing countries may or may not be responsible. Now, if you take Russia and Ukraine war, we are importing oil from Iran or some Gulf countries. Does Iran and Gulf countries have anything to do with Russia-Ukraine war? No, right? So, this statement is wrong. Why? Because he has not spoken about oil producing countries. Now, you may be tempted because one of the reasons, it is a balanced statement, but he is not talking about oil producing countries over there. No. He is only saying that high fuel prices Nowhere he has spoken about oil producing countries in the passage. This is a UPSC trap. It's a trap. First option is wrong. If there is a food crisis in the world in the near future, it will be in the emerging economies. Yes or no? Yes or no? How many of you go with statement? Second one is correct or not? Raise your hand. How many of you say that second statement is correct? Even here you can raise your hand in this also. How many are correct? Tell me. Okay. How many of you think that second statement is correct? Okay. How many of you think the second statement is wrong? Okay, the majority wins. Second statement is wrong. Now, if you read this passage again, he is talking about most populous emerging economies. What is he talking about? Most populous emerging economies. Read it properly. He is just not talking about emerging economies. He is talking about populous emerging economies. So, if you go back to the question now, it will be in the emerging economies. Emerging economies may be populous, may not be populous. So, this second statement is also wrong. This is also UPSC trap. There is a high chance that you will choose both the options here. But both the options are wrong. So, answer is neither 1 nor 2. This is the right answer. Are you understanding how to eliminate these questions? Yes or no? Are you understanding? Is it clear? Okay, let's take the next question. Question number 8. Okay, so think. Okay, let's take the next question now. A central message of modern development economics is the importance of income growth, by which is meant growth in, by which, I think something is wrong here. He means to say that if there is an income growth, there is an growth in gross domestic product also. In theory, rising GDP creates employment and investment opportunities. Okay. As incomes grow in a country where the level of GDP was once low, households, communities, and governments are increasingly able to set aside some funds for production of things that make for a good life. Okay. Today, GDP has assumed such a significant place in the development lexicon that if someone mentions economic growth, we know they mean growth in GDP. Okay. Right. Have you understood what is the crux of this passage? He's talking about the importance of GDP growth. He says that GDP is so important today. He says that GDP is so important that it is measured as a yardstick for development of an economy. Yes or no? If it is a economic growth is measured by GDP. Yardstick. It's a kind of a yardstick. Now let's see the question. With reference to the above passage, following assumptions have been made. Rising GDP is essential for a country to be a developed country. Now tell me one thing. Has he spoken about somewhere about developed country here? And he's saying essential. Essential. Is it essential? Okay. Let me explain you. Now he is saying that Rising GDP creates employment and investment opportunities. Okay? He says it is creating. Now, when I'm using the word essential here, is rising GDP essential for a country to be a developed country? Go back to the economics once. That's why I said, please read your GS paper also. Now, if I ask this question, general studies paper, for a country to be developed, is GDP only the factor? No, there is one more factor called as HDI, Human Development Index. Yes or no? Now, first of all, this is an extreme statement, essential annadu. Now, in the passage, nowhere he has spoken about developed country. Has he spoken about developed country? But he has said that in a country, if GDP is increasing, there will be more employment opportunities, there will be more investment. But economic development, developed country doesn't only mean economic development. Sorry? Development. See, if it is today, GDP has assumed such a significant place in developed lexicon. Development. There is lot of difference between development and developed country. Now, when I talk about a developed country, their developed country is not only having more monetary resources, it is having human resources also. Yes or no? When you say happiness index, that's why I said when you're taking a question into the place, you should think about what? You should think about general studies paper also. Now, for a country to be developed, do you only measure it by per capita income? Only by GDP? Or are you measuring from some other factors also? You measure everything. So, here when he says essential, if he has given a statement like rising GDP is one of the factor for a country to be a developed country, then it is a correct statement. It is one of the factor. But it is not the only factor. When he says essential, it is not essential. It may, even you could have said rising GDP may be an essential factor. It's true. This is an extreme statement. We can avoid this. Rising GDP guarantees a reasonable distribution of income to all households. This is completely wrong. Nowhere he is mentioned. Nowhere he has mentioned that GDP is guaranteeing a reasonable distribution of income to all households. Is he guaranteeing that? No way. Guaranteeing again is an extreme statement. And passage is not also stating that. Passage is stating that today GDP is one of the most important factor in deciding the development. When I said one of the most important factor, I am not saying that it is the only factor in deciding whether the country is developed or not. So, both are eliminated here. Answer is neither one nor two. Any doubts you have still? It is a trap. That's what I'm saying. That's why you in UPSC exam, this is a great trap. How to avoid is what I'm saying. Now, there are two ways. Whenever you're finding an extreme statement, you see whether it is explicitly mentioned in the passage. Then also think, while I'm telling how you generalize this, whenever you are given a statement like this, you examine by two ways. When the statement is extreme, check whether the statement is given in the passage directly. If you feel that still it is given in the passage, then think from general studies point of view also, whether this point is making sense. While you are writing an economy paper, you take a mains paper for example, if you write a statement like rising GDP is an essential factor for a country to be a developed country, do you think that point is going to carry a weightage in your examination? No. You are not giving a balanced solution. You are saying that GDP is essential. Now tell me one thing. This year, IMF has projected GDP is going to be very low for USA and Western countries and European countries. Now, does it make a US underdeveloped country because GDP is not there? GDP is registering a negative growth? Tell me, sir. just because of a GDP's country going down. So let us say USA's GDP is going down since last 2 quarters. Yes or no? Does it make an underdeveloped country? Development is just not measured by one factor. It is measured by so many factors. There you're talking about monetary point, GDP. You're talking about numbers. You're talking about human development index also. Correct. Bang on. Yes. What you're saying is 100% right. If the statement is rising GDP is essential for a country to register an economic growth, you are 100% right. It's a direct statement, yes or no? Because he's saying that if the word mentions economic growth, we know they mean growth in GDP. It is explicitly mentioned in the passage. But here he is mentioning developed country, not economic growth. Development is different, economic growth is different. That's a basic of economy, yes or no? Okay. Just because some government has constructed Raidar companies, that doesn't mean that Hyderabad is totally developed. Is it the case? No, right? Because development means inclusive development. It has to include everyone. That's what you mean by inclusive growth, right? That's why I'm saying interconnect the GS paper also while you're answering the question. That is why I said you cannot answer 25 out of 25 questions correctly. It's impossible. Because somewhere down the line you'll be trapped by UPSC. Somewhere. But if you're well versed with it, you will avoid most of the traps. 8 out of 10 times you will avoid it. Maybe 1 or 2, that margin of error is going to be there. But that's okay. Are you understanding how to avoid such things? Yes or no? Right, let's go to we'll understand more and more as we progress. Okay. Right. So answer is both are not. This is a bigger passage. Generally, UPSC is not giving this kind of passage these days. It's given in 2021. It's a biology passage. Right. Read a passage. Natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth. Okay. Therefore, the set of existing organisms can never be fully prepared for environmental catastrophes that await life. Now, what he's saying here is that natural selections, that means human beings or animals or all the living organisms, cannot anticipate what is going to happen in the future. What environment conditions we are going to encounter. So he's saying whatever existing organisms are there, they can never be prepared for environmental catastrophes. Were we prepared for COVID when COVID came? No. We were not at all prepared, in fact. So we don't know when which catastrophe it is going to come. That's why WHO is saying that we need to be prepared for any environmental catastrophes that we are going to encounter. Okay. We can never fully be prepared. Maybe we can be prepared for a catastrophe like tsunami, flood, cyclone. We can be prepared for that. But can we be prepared for some unknown virus? We can never fully be prepared. Or can you avoid tsunami fully? No. You can evacuate some people. You can minimize the damage, but you cannot completely control the damage. I mean, you cannot completely eliminate the damage. Right. An outcome of this is the extinction of those species which cannot overcome environmental adversity. Now, if you see this, an outcome of this is the extinction of those an outcome of this is the extinction of those species which cannot overcome environmental adversity. Okay. So the outcome, what is saying? Extinction of those species cannot overcome all the environmental adversity. This failure to survive in modern times can be attributed to genomes which are unable to withstand geological vagaries or biological mishaps, infections, diseases, and so on. In biological evolution on the earth, extinction of species has been a major feature. The earth may presently have up to 10 million species, yet more than 90% of species that have never lived on earth are now extinct. Already 90% of the species have become extinct already. Once again, the cretinist doctrines fail to satisfactorily address why a divine creator will firstly bother to create millions of species and then allow them to perish. Okay? The Darwinian explanation for extinct life is once again simple, elegant, at once convincing. Organisms go extinct as a function of environmental or biological assaults. Here, please keep this. I'm marking this in a box. This is very important. For which their inheritance deems them ill-equipped. Therefore, the so-called Darwinian theory of evolution is not a theory at all. Evolution happens. This is a fact. The mechanism of evolution Darwin proposed, natural selection, is amply supported by scientific data. Indeed, to date, no single zoological, botanical, geological, paleontological, genetic, or physical evidence has refuted either of these central two main Darwin ideas. If religion is not taken into consideration, Darwinian laws are acceptable, just like laws proposed by Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, and Einstein, sets of natural laws that explain natural phenomena in the universe. What is he saying is that as in living organisms, we are not fully prepared for environmental catastrophes. And he's saying that this is all a natural process. And Darwin's theory states that all this is happening due to not a theory, but because of what? Organisms go extinct as a function of environmental and biological assaults. When he is talking about environmental and biological assaults, it again is happening naturally. It is not man-made. That's why he's saying Darwin's theory is not a theory because it's a realistic thing. Because it is proved by scientific data. That's what he's saying. Now, let's see the question now. Now, according to the passage, natural selection cannot anticipate future environments on the earth. Why natural selections cannot anticipate? The first sentence of the passage says that only. As a living creatures, we cannot anticipate what is going to happen in future. Now, here if you see the options, if you can eliminate one option here, your answer is over. Yes or no? Now, species not fully prepared to face the environmental changes that await them will face extinction. Yes, it is there in the passage. Correct. All the existing species would get extinct as their genomes will not withstand biological mishaps. Is it said all? All is an extreme statement. Eliminate. Answer is 1, 3, and 4. That's it. You can easily tell. You see remaining statements. Inability of the genome to withstand environmental changes would result in extinction. Yes, explicitly stated. Extinction of species is a common feature. Yes, because he says 90% of species have already become extinct. That means extinction is a common feature. If it is happening more than 50% of the times, it is a common feature only. Yes or no? Probability is more. Next question. 1, 3, and 4 is right. The passage suggests that Darwin theory of evolution is not a theory at all because it does not satisfy cretinist doctrine. Extinction is a function of environmental and biological assaults. It looks like an answer. Yes or no? A. It does not. Is it correct? It does not satisfy the cretinist doctrine. Is it mentioned? No. C. There are no evidences to refute it. There are evidences. Scientific evidence is there. He is saying Darwin's theory is supported by scientific evidence. Existence of organisms is attributed to a creator. Is it attributed to a creator? It is a natural process. So, if you take the passage, I told you to underline one word. What is that? You see this? Are simple, elegant, and once convincing organisms to go extinct as a function of environmental or biological assaults. Is it not mentioned? So B is the right answer here. Okay. So B is the right answer. The first question, the answer is 1, 3, and 4. And for the second question, the answer is option B. Now let's go to the next question again. One more question is there. Only species with reference to the passage, following assumptions have been made. Okay. Only species that have the ability to overcome environmental catastrophes will survive and perpetuate. Yes, correct. Only the species that have ability to overcome environmental catastrophes, they will survive. More than 90% of the species on the earth are in the danger of getting extinct. Already extinct. He is saying not in danger of extinct. Already it has become extinct. This is wrong. Darwin's theory explains all the natural phenomena. Extreme statement and doesn't make sense. Forget about extreme word all. When I say all natural phenomena, does Darwin's theory explain about gravitation? Does it explain about total internal reflection, refraction, diffraction, diffusion? Tell me, does it explain everything? Does it explain about solar system? Does it explain about black hole theory? No. So that's an extreme statement. 2 and 3 are wrong statements. Answer is only 1. That's it. And even if you do not know the first statement, you can eliminate. How? See the second statement, wrong. Third statement, wrong. Obviously, according to options, first statement is got to be correct. This is the process of elimination. Suppose if you do not know what is the answer, let us say you don't know the answer, see the second statement. More than 90% of species on the earth are in the danger of getting extinct due to the changes in environment. It is already not in danger. Already 90% of species have become extinct already. That is gone. Second, Darwin's theory explains all the natural phenomena. No. When he's talking about natural phenomena, he is not only talking about biology phenomena. He's talking about, we can talk about chemistry, you can talk about astrophysics, you can talk about anything. Both are extreme statements, so we both can be eliminated. So answer is what? Only 1. That's it. Are we clear? Yes or no? So what's the next question? Right. Okay, I have a question from Lavanya actually regarding the last one. But the question is about assumptions. Okay, maybe he assumes that it is rising GDP is also essential. Now, you are saying the word, maybe he assumes it is rising GDP also essential. Maybe, you said maybe here. But in the question, if you see, is he not talking about, is the same question, madam, what is your name? Varalakshmi. Lavanya, I think she is also like your friend, she is also asking the same question. I want to answer her. Okay. In the questions like assumptions, crux, etc., all are same. Sorry. In questions, the words like assumptions, crux, etc. No. Lavanya, crux and assumptions is not the same. When he is talking about crux of the passage, crux is about main idea. Okay. Lavanya is asking a question. Crux is not talking about the main idea. Sorry, crux is the main idea. When he's talking about assumption does not mean the main idea of the passage. Assumption means that He is talking about what if this is true in the passage, then my assumption has to be true. Because if it is explicitly mentioned in the passage, if whatever passage is given to me in the question is true, my assumption also holds true. Yes or no? So Lavanya, assumption and crux is not the same. Crux is about the central idea of the passage. And assumption is not directly stated. Assumption is something, if it is true in the passage, if my given passage is true, then it is true. And while talking about that GDP question, as Lavanya asked me, you yourself have said that, what she's saying that, she said that maybe he wanted to assume. But in the question, he's not saying maybe. He's saying it is essential condition. So whenever you're saying essential, you have to be 100% sure in the passage, which is not talking about it. He's talking about developed country. He's not talking about development over there. Developed country and development is, there are two different aspects. Okay. Right. Next question. Okay. Thank you, Lavanya. Right. Next question is, in some places in the world, the productivity of staples. In some places in the world, the productivity of staples. Staple food means what? Rice, wheat. Rice and wheat has reached a plateau. When he says plateau, now go for geography. How does a plateau look? Plateau looks like this. Yes or no? Slowly. Mountain means exponentially rising. Plateau means what? Almost flat. Almost flat means what? He has reached a plateau means it is not growing. It is not growing. That's what it means. He says that the production of rice and wheat has reached a plateau. That means it has reached its peak. The population is rising, but the production is also not rising like population, right? Yes or no? That is the basic problem we have with food security today. The population is rising, but our production is not rising in the same way. That is the problem. So, right. New strains nor fancy agrochemicals are raising the yields. Whether it's a new strains or fancy agrochemicals like fertilizers, manure, whatever it is, not raising the yields, nor there is much unfarmed land left that is suitable to be brought under the plow. Today, because of huge explosion of population, you don't have much of an agricultural land left also. That's what he's saying. If global temperatures continue to rise, some places will become unsuitable for farming. Yes, because of global warming, because of extreme weather events, the agricultural lands may face drought, it may face severe flooding. Sometimes what happens is because of tsunamis and cyclones and all, the sea water will enter into the agricultural lands, which is near the coastal place. The land will become saline, salt. It is not suitable for farming again. Okay? Right. Application of technology can help overcome these problems. Yes, he's saying if we apply the technology in the right way, we can overcome these problems. Agricultural technology is changing fast. Of course, technology is changing very fast and we have to adapt to it. Much of this change is brought by affluent farmers in West Americas. What do you mean by Americas? This is an important line actually. Americas means both North America and South America. That's what America is. Just Americas means it is just not United States of America. It is what? Northern America and Southern America also. Okay. Techniques developed in the West are being adapted in some places to make tropical crops more productive. Okay. Some techniques that are developed in West are being adapted in places to make tropical crops more productive. Now I say some places. What places we don't know? It may be India, it may be China, it may be Australia, it may be anything. Okay. Now, techniques development West. Okay, sorry. Technology is of little use if it is not adapted, of course. In a developing world that applies as much to existing farming techniques as it does to the latest advances in genetic modification. Okay. Extending to the smallholders and subsistence farmers of Africa and Asia, the best of today's agricultural practices in such simple matters as how much fertilizers to apply and when would lead to a greatly increased availability of food for humanity. Now he's saying the technology has to see, it is already there, it has extended to some of these substances and small farmers of Asia and Africa also, where he's saying that they have to adapt to the technology. Okay, and he says that in such simple matters as how much fertilizer to apply and when would lead to greatly increased availability of food for humanity. So would things like better roads and storage facilities to allow for carriage of surpluses to markets and reduce wastage. Now, even in whether it is in developed or developing countries, if your production level is higher, you should have that infrastructure so that the crops which are grown, the food which is grown doesn't grow waste. It should not be going in the vain. It should be, because lack of transport facilities will do what? If you do not have right kind of storage facilities, and if it is excessive produce, what happens? It is thrown into the dump. Okay, now see the questions now. Let's take the questions. Okay. Now, based on the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Development of agricultural technology is confined to developed countries. Wrong. He says West/Americas. South America. That's why I said GS knowledge is also important. Is South America developed countries? Brazil, Argentina. Do they come under developed countries? No. No way. First is wrong. Agricultural technology is not adapted in developing countries. Does it say that? No. Take the passage once. Extending genetical modification, extending to the small holders and subsistence farmers of Africa and Asia. It is extending to them also. Nowhere it is said that they. And when I said, and you see here, that's what I said as one. See here. Agricultural technology is changing fast. Much of this change is brought by affluent farmers in West America. Techniques developed in West are being adapted in some places. That's why I told you. Some places, I stress that word. When I said those some places, it may be developing countries also. So passage is nowhere stating that technology is not getting adapted to developing countries. Is it saying that technology is not adapted in developing countries? Nowhere. Okay. So if you go to the question now, both the statements are wrong in fact. This is wrong. Is not adapted in developing countries. This is also wrong. These are two extreme statements. He's saying technology is not at all adapted in developing countries. Is this the case? Now, India is a developing country. Yes or no? You just think in the GS perspective. That's why I'm saying. In GS perspective, would you agree to the statement saying that India is not adapting to the change? Are we not adapting to the agricultural change? No, right? Think, that's what I'm saying. Whenever you're answering these questions, think in terms of GS also. As I said, balanced statement, practical statement is more important here. So, both statements are wrong, neither one nor two. Next. Based on the above passage, following assumptions have been made. Poor countries need to bring about change in their existing farming techniques. This statement is right to an extent because in the passage itself it is mentioned that unless and until you adapt to the technological changes, unless and until you bring the changes in the farming techniques, you will not survive in the market. So definitely poor countries are not bringing their changes in existing farming techniques, they will be eliminated. So this is right. Developed countries are better infrastructure, and they waste less food. Have they spoken about wasting less food anywhere? This is gone. Only one is the answer. Now I'll tell you why I have chosen this option of poor countries need to bring about a change in existing farming techniques. I'll tell you why. Now, the first thing is that, now he says that we have to go back to the passage once again. Okay. Agricultural technology is changing fast. Much of this change is brought by affluent farmers in West Americas. Now, who has brought this change? Western Americas. Now, techniques developed in West are being adapted in some places to make tropical crops more productive. Technology is of little use if it is not adapted. In the developing world, it applies as much as to existing farming techniques as it does to the latest in genetic modification. This statement says that apart from existing techniques also, all the countries need to adapt to the new farming techniques also. Now, more so with poor countries. That's why I said refer to GS once. GS, if you take GS into picture, don't you think poor countries have to adapt to the change? It is not an extreme statement I'm telling. Poor countries need to bring their change in their farming techniques, yes or no? If they don't bring the change, already they are on the poor side. And if you don't adapt to the technology, if you don't bring the change also, that will go wrong. See, one thing. Has he spoken about anything about developing countries here? See, they didn't mention anything. That's what I'm saying. He says subsistence farmers of Africa. When he's talking about subsistence farmers and the smallholders, who are they? Tell me now. Poor people. That's what I'm saying. This is the key word here. This indicates whom, sir? This is the GS knowledge. Poor. Yes or no? That's why you have to underline the key word there. Subsistence, and is talking about poor farmers. Okay, that's why option A is going to be correct. Okay, right. Let's go to the next one now. Next question. One more question is there, I think. Based on the above passage, following assumptions have been made. Okay. Growing enough food for future generations will be a challenge. Yes, of course. It is true. It will be a challenge in future. Yes or no? Even if you take GS perspective also, don't you think that growing food will be a challenge? It will be a challenge. He is not saying it is impossible. He is saying it's a challenge. Challenge is the right word. It's not an extreme word. This is right. Corporate farming is a viable option for food security in poor countries. Has he spoken anything about corporate farming? Only one. Corporate farming means farming taken by corporates. Has he spoken anything about corporates? He's only spoken about farmers and technology. Outside the scope, it's a UPSC trap. You may argue that, sir, you said poor countries is not mentioned, but you're taking that. But corporate farming, has it been mentioned anywhere in the passage? Or at least is it stating that? Nowhere. So, this is the, answer 1 is only the right answer here. Okay. So, what is the time now? Okay. We'll talk for another 5-10 minutes and then we'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Right. Next. In simple matters like shoemaking, we think only a specifically trained person will serve our purpose. Even in simple matters like shoemaking, we'll go to an expert, yes or no? Whom will we go to? A person who is an expert in shoemaking. But in politics, we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a state. Okay. When we are ill is a guarantee of specific preparation and technical competence. We do not ask for handsomest physician. When we are having fever, when we are having a disease, do we ask for a beautiful doctor? If girls go, do they ask for a handsome man? Or if I go, do you ask for a beautiful girl? I need someone who needs to treat me here, otherwise I'll die. So, the most eloquent one, or who speaks well. Doctor should know what antibiotic he has to prescribe. Doctor may not speak well. It's not about communication skills. Well, then, when the whole state is ill, should we not look for the service and guidance of the wisest and the best? Now, he's saying, while we take so much care about other things, like even for a simple shoemaking thing, we go to a professional. Even for a simple thing, ill health, we go to a doctor who is competent in that. But in case of politician, every Tom, Dick and Harry who knows how to get votes, we accept them. Why? Why do we accept them is what he's saying. So he is saying, don't we look for the wisest and the best politician? That's what he's implying. Now, which of the following statements best reflects the message of the author of a passage? What message is trying to give in this passage? We assume that in a democracy, any politician is qualified to, any politician. Is any politician, do we assume that? Not any politician. A politician who knows how to get votes, he is the one. So he's not talking about that. Extreme statement. Politicians should be selected from those trained in administration. This is a very tempting option actually. But is he talking about training in administration anywhere in the passage? I know many of my friends who chose this option while they were writing the exam. I think this is given in 2022. They have chosen this option. B. Immediate option, right? What we will be saying, those who are well trained in administration will be good politicians is what we'll assume. But has the passion mentioned that anywhere? Has the passion mentioned about training in administration? Yes or no? Okay, one question from Asha Jyoti. Sir, assumption questions are a little bit confusing. How to overcome it? Very simple, ma'am. In assumption questions, if the passage is true, then your assumption will also be true. And one more thing is that in assumption questions, apply bit of your general studies knowledge also. Only two factors I'm talking about. One, if the passage is true, assumption is also true. Second thing I'm applying there is, madam, that I am applying bit of general studies knowledge. In general studies, is that option fitting in? That is what I have done. Okay. Now come back to this question. Politicians should be selected from those trained in administration. It is a UPSC trap option, not true. We need to devise a method of bearing incompetence from public office. This looks a correct answer. Balanced statement. Okay. As voters select their administrators, the eligibility of politicians to administer a state cannot be questioned. Oh, extreme statement. Very extreme. Very extreme. Cannot be questioned. Huh? You cannot question a politician. Can we or cannot be? Just because I have elected my MLA, can I not question him again? I can. Okay. So see that we need a device, a method of bearing incompetence from public office. This is correct. Because, see here. Now suppose, just because a doctor is handsome, if he is not giving a right kind of treatment, that's why I said GS is important. GS is very important. Go to fundamental rights once. Go to Article 19. Right to follow any profession is there, yes or no? But in case of doctors, can we obtain a doctor? Can I set up a hospital without? Can I open a clinic without having a doctor degree? Can I open? Then why don't we apply the same criteria to the politicians also? That's what we are saying. That is the underlying thing. Once politician is not well versed to handle the matter, he should be thrown from the office. We should bear the incompetence of the politician. Suppose I am there, I am making shoe, I am not a shoemaker, sir, but just because of some livelihood, I will try to, do some job of shoemaking, or try to, some basic repairs of shoes and chappal and everything. Is it acceptable? No. Unless I am competent enough for that profession, I cannot do that. In the same way, politician is incompetent. His incompetence should be barred from the public office. He should be thrown out. This option, politician should be selected from those trained in administration. This also looks like a right answer, sir. But a politician who is only trained in administration, can he deliver everything? No, we cannot say that. Then in that case, every IAS officer, every IPS officer should become a politician. Think on that perspective. Think on that perspective. Just because if someone is well trained in administration, I think every IAS, every IPS, every IFS has to become a politician. Don't you think so? Only some officers like Jay Shankar, I forgot the Tamil Nadu officers' names, I'm sorry. Annamalai. Yes, very good. Only few people can do it here. For example, let us say, today Modi may not have taken, our Prime Minister Modi may not have taken any administrative training. But is he not ruling India properly? He is doing it. That's why, whether we agree or not, he's a popular leader today. Yes, we have to accept it. See, I'm again saying this is not a political class. I'm just giving an example, that's it. Okay? So, bearing incompetence. That's why I'm eliminating. See, in comprehension, remember one thing, sir. We need not understand everything. We need to arrive. What is our ultimate aim? To arrive at the answer. I am eliminating 3 options. Obviously, C has to be the right answer. First option, how I eliminated? Any politician is qualified to administer a state in democracy? No. Not any politician. Politicians should be selected only those who train in administration? No. That is not mentioned in the passage. Now I am saying, since I am voting for someone, I cannot question that politician. Can it be? These 3 are extreme options almost. Only C is the right answer. This is a balanced statement. We should throw the incompetence out. We should bar the incompetence. Okay. So today we'll stop it. I know this is a very tedious session. Tomorrow onwards, I'll tell you. I'm telling to the Zoom listeners also. The only thing is that we will solve questions in the faster rate. Today I'm explaining you the passage wise as to how you will understand. And one more thing I'm telling you, we are not here to master reading comprehension. We are here to arrive at the right answer. And that is what I'm telling you, the techniques. You observe each and every word of mine. Okay. You can be very open. Okay. Are you bored of today's class? Anyone who felt bored, I can Zoom also, they can answer if they want. I am being open. Because if you say I'm bored, I'll try to improve here. What is there in that? I'm not perfect. No human is perfect here. It should be an interactive session. Okay. There will be some questions, ma'am, which will be confusing. I'm not saying 100%. Yes, there will be 1 or 2 questions. Some questions only UPSC, unless UPSC arrives at the key, we cannot say what is the right answer also. Even the leading IAS institutes, when they keep the key after the CSAT paper is over, they will say either B or C may be the option. Even they don't know. Only UPSC question paper setter will know the right answer. Okay. So don't worry. But I'll ask you one question. I've solved 15 questions now, maybe 16 totally with the 30 other question also. At least 80 to 90% of the questions you were clear, yes or no? At least 80%. 80% of 16 is what? Somewhere around 13 questions. Out of 15 questions, were we not clear in 12 or 13 questions at least? We had the right answer, yes or no? 1 or 2 questions, yes. There is some confusion, you may not get convinced. Okay. There is one question in 2021, is not in your handout. Even I was not convinced with the UPSC's answer. There will be some existing confusion. But our aim is not for perfection, sir. We need not answer 25 or 25 questions. If you are able to answer 20 or 25, your job is done. What is 20 to 2.5? 50. 50 marks already in your pocket. You are done. If you get 30 from arithmetic and reasoning, then you are done, right? Yes or no? Are you confident at least today as to how to select? Now solve these questions after going home. I'll explain you tomorrow. Try. I'm just winding up the class. I'm just giving the conclusion now. What are the major things actually? One second. Yeah. Okay. First thing, avoid extreme statements. I'm just concluding whatever we have learned today. Okay. Unless explicitly stated in passage. Okay. Second, select balanced statement. Third, verify your answer with GS knowledge. If you are confused, okay. Fourth one, assumption questions. True or false, checking you have to do. If your passage is true, assumption in that should also be true. And second thing, verify your GS knowledge again. This is the most important thing we can get. And one more thing, avoid extreme and negative statements. Have we not avoided negative statements? Yes or no? For example, growing food for future generations is an impossible task. Is it not a negative statement? UPSC exam is difficult to crack. Right statement. UPSC exam is impossible to crack. It's a negative statement also. I am discouraging you people. UPSC is a difficult exam, but with the right kind of strategy, you can crack it. It's a balanced statement. With these techniques, I'm not saying, I will not give 10, 15 techniques like this because it will be getting, again, you'll be confused here. Yes or no? Will you not be confused? Already you have to mug up general studies, facts and all. You have to see a lot of concepts. So these are few basic things. Just see like another GS, just see this like another GS paper. You will easily answer it. If you see all the passages till I taught now, is it outside your GS thing? It is well within your GS only. While you are selecting an option, when you are very much confused, immediately apply your GS knowledge as a last resort. Just like how for banking RBI is the last resort, if you are having too much of confusion deciding among two options, apply your general studies knowledge. That's it. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.